Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. And of course, we had the Brian Shaw, well, the former Brian Shaw Classic this weekend, but it is now called the Strongest Man on Earth. And I'm still really looking forward to watching these competitions. Of course, I love strongman. Before I started competing in it, I was a fan of strongman, so I love seeing big competitions like this, basically, and especially with this lineup, which is a 13-man lineup. You had, how many have we? We have one, two, three, four, five, six World Strongest Man titles here, plus all the other titles that was within it. And we had Tom Stoltman, Mitchell Hooper, Pavlo Cardiaca, Novikov, Trey Mitchell, Evan Singleton, Bobby, Tristan, Lucas, Austin, Thomas Evans, Wesley, Thor. And of course, Thor is back. And I have to say, what a return. I mean, he's done so much since he's been on a massive stage like this. He has done boxing. He has done, I'm not sure if he's done much acting, but basically, he's been off for a couple of years. And to come back and make this sort of return where he's literally on par with the top three in the world, come back and nearly won it. And I've seen a couple of comments online saying that he should have won the competition, and no, he shouldn't, because it was 8 events. They were great selection of events. They tested every part of it. There was deadlifting, there was overhead, there was 3 different types of overhead. Technically, you had throwing, you had stoned, you had squat, you had frame, you had everything, arm over arm, which would grip. So to me, it was a great mix of events. I honestly think you could put in 8 different events again, and the top 3 would not change. Unfortunately, Tom Stoltman seemed to be off a little bit. But in my prediction, like coming up to this, I would have put Mitchell, Tom Stoltman, and to be honest, I wouldn't have put Lucas Hatton on the podium. It's just because I don't know enough about Lucas. But I think Lucas has really shown us this weekend that he is a top contender in any competition. So hopefully, I think the issue with him was he didn't qualify for Worlds last year, but I think he should be there next year. Who else really? Austin Andrade was another standout performance for me this weekend. He just did so amazing. Such a strong cunt, to be honest. Lots of strong cunts in this lineup. But before, I would have put Tom Mitchell and... See, we've seen Thor compete at Iceland Strongest Man. He looked like he didn't come out of first gear, to be honest, at it. And judging by his training, it looks like that he was back in that type of form where he was ready to podium at any competition in the world. So I would have put Thor. I would have put probably Mitchell first. His events seem to favour Mitchell a bit more. And Tom seems to, once he has World Strongest Man 1, he tends to kind of take the rest of the year off. So I knew he wasn't coming into this with the same mindset he had for World Strongest Man. So I would have put Mitchell first, probably Thor second, and I would have given Tom third because he's Tom Stoltman. He's the world's strongest man. He's a 3-time world strongest man, and he's just a big cunt that can walk up to any competition and kind of dominate it. So to go through the events, first they had deadlift, max deadlift, no suit, and no figure of eights. I'm going to be honest, this figure of eights and normal straps makes no difference to me. It took me weeks and months to get used to the figure of 8 strap. I don't see the big deal with it. They do not help a deadlift, in my opinion. I did some of my best deadlifts ever with just normal straps. Like, once you get used to a normal strap, it's every bit as good as a figure 8 strap. I suppose the only difference is figure 8 can be a bit dangerous in terms of if something happens at the top of a deadlift and you need to bail, you can't bail. That bar will catapult you to the ground, as we've seen with it's happened to a couple of girls, but it's happened Adam Bishop, and he ended up tearing his tricep and breaking his cheekbone off the floor. It was such a bad injury to get. So it was raw deadlift. I knew Tom, or I knew Thor would have won this event. I knew Mitchell would have been second. Bobby is always a brilliant deadlifter. Raw, suit, it doesn't really matter. But the reffing throughout this competition, in my opinion, was shit. Not that it was shit, it was just, God, there were so many bad calls throughout this competition. And Evan Singleton seemed to be at the fucking wrong end of it, as always. Evan deadlifted, I think his deadlift was 423 kilos, which is 900 and something American pounds. to me, it was bang on. They said his thumb come off the bar. I looked at it. I didn't see his fucking thumb come off the bar. But that's what you get. And like I love Eddie Cohn. But when you get a powerlifter to judge a strongman competition, they expect the same fucking shit they see in powerlifting. Like they want the same thing they see in powerlifting in strongman, and that's just not strongman. Strongman is not that fucking technical. So when you get a powerlifting referee to come in to ref a strongman competition, it's never going to be good. So I think Eddie Cohn, and he's a goat, and he's a great powerlifter, and I talk to him now and again. He's a great fucking man, you know. But I don't think he should be there refing a strongman competition, in my opinion, because he did not give Evan the down single when he should have got that down single. It was a fucking sweet pull. It was perfect from start to finish. And some say that he shrugged it. He literally shrugged it to try to try deadlift it even more to get that down signal. He should have been given that lift, but he didn't, and it kind of fucked with his head then, like it would anyone's head. So that was the deadlift. Then we had an overhead medley, and they made it a little bit of a mess up there with the axles. And to be honest, it's a bit of an amateur mistake to make, but these things happen, you know. These things unfortunately happen at competitions a lot more than you'd think. But the only difference here is Brian Shaw walked out and owned up to it. You probably wouldn't see that in every competition, but Brian Shaw saw that a couple of guys were struggling with the second axle, and he owned up to it. He said, it's my own fault, and he did the right thing, you know, because as I said, these fucking things happen. It happened at a log medley with me. I think it was the Europe's Strongest Man, where the 160 log, every one of the guys failed on a 160, or struggled with the 160 log. I failed it. A couple of guys that should be repping out a 160 log failed it, and it just wasn't fixed at the time. It was just basically plow on, lads, tough shit. But Brian Shaw came out, admitted to the mistake, fixed the mistake, rectified it, went backstage, spoke with the guys, asked what they wanted to do about it, and you know, it was a great decision. The standout there for me was Tom Stoutman smashing that overhead. Some people forget how good Tom Stoutman overhead, how much he's really come on in overhead pressing. Like he won the Axel World's Strongest Man. He won the log press, the log lift championships. Do you know, he's such a great presser. Pavlo got fucked in the event because he was one of the guys that got the 185 Axel as the second rep. So that kind of messed with him. I thought he would have finished that medley. He's done harder medleys than that, and he's finished them. So I think Pavlo and Novikov really came into this competition a bit drained. I don't know if the travel and that fucked them up. I know Novikov's a bit injured, but it's sad to see. Then we had the throwing events bore the fuck out of me. I didn't really watch it. I watched the in just to see who won, and Thor won. You know, it's Thor's to lose, really, the throwing events. And the stones, then Tom made the same kind of mistake he made last year. Except last year it was with a log. He came out and just went for the heaviest. I don't think you should ever do that, no matter how good of whatever you are. Do not come out and think you can lift the last one. You should always just go up along. He should have started with the lightest stone, made his way up to the 270 stone, or the 600 pound stone, which would be 270 kilos. I don't know who told him to do that. If it was you, then you're a fucking idiot. Then we had the squat. God, this is why squat shouldn't be in strongman. And this is why us strongmen always get mocked over a squat when they do squats like this. The squatting event was shit, and it looked like he spent so much money in this event. It was so bad. Oh, Jesus, like there seemed to be no standard across it. Let's be honest, Mitchell Hooper's squat was so much higher than everyone else's. I don't know how they fucking measured this, or I'm not sure like how they went about this, but it was so bad. It was so bad, and it looks so bad then as well. And it makes us fucking go back to that Stone Age, or strongmen never go down deep enough, and this is why we get mocked over it when they do events like this. Still though, I don't think it would have made much difference to the points, other than only, I think, 3 people squatted it out of 13, which is so bad as well. It looks shit. You want 1 or 2 guys failing this. You don't want 10 guys failing the fucking thing. And like, to be honest, I'd like to see more squatting coming into strongman. I just don't know how we're going to do it. I think maybe just look for parallel. After that, you need a couple of decent refs, even though Brian Shaw himself, I think, refed that. I think when they saw that they should have pulled the pin on that Strat event. They should have re-evaluated Hooper's because he was so much higher than everyone else. And again, it's not Hooper's fault. Hooper just went along with it, and did the right thing and squatted 10 reps and made it look easy. But fuck it. Well, after that, the framed arm over arm looked like a decent event. It was, again, I find these medleys boring to watch, so I didn't really watch it. I know Austin Andrade on Austin did really well in it. He came third overall. Moving on, we had the dumbbell medley. Great event. I love dumbbell medleys. And no surprise there. I'm not sure who won it. I think fucking Novikov won, maybe. I'm not 100% on that. Novikov is a great dumbbell presser. I don't think anyone pressed the last. Oh no, sorry. Lucas Hatton won the dumbbell and did a great job in it. And again, he's such a strong fucker. He has no weaknesses. Just great deadlift or great overhead. Doesn't matter what event you give him, he seems to do really well in it and smashed all 5 dumbbells and made it look easy. His last dumbbell was simple. I think Thor got fucked in the dumbbell, as did Evan. Terry Hollands was reffing that and did not give him the down signal. I don't know why. It looked bang on to me. This reffing, it's always reffing is so fucked across strongman competitions. And it's not the Strongman Classic. I know that gets hit a lot. It's Giants Live. The reffing can be so bad sometimes. I am more often than not, on the wrong end of a shitty call. Same thing at World's Strongest Man. The dumbbell at World's Strongest Man last year was awful as well. I don't know. They just need to come up with a set of rules and just stick to them. I honestly don't know why Thor didn't get the down signal. I don't know why Evan didn't get the down signal. Evan really got fucked this weekend between the dumbbell and the deadlift. But, you just have to fucking do it. We had the Fingal Fingers to Stairs. This is a great event as well. I enjoyed it. Coming into it, I think we know who was going to win. That was Thor. It's just a big man's event, especially the stairs part. I know Mitchell Hooper, when he went up against Thor, he beat him in the Fingal Fingers, which was a surprise to me because Thor is good at fingers, and again, that's a bigger man's event. And it was really heavy. It was 600 pounds was the last one, which makes it 270 kilograms. And anyone that's done power stairs before know how fucking hard this event is. It's such a horrible event. I hated it. And they just smashed it. Like the last one being 600 pounds to me was just disgusting looking. So it was a good event overall. Mitchell Hooper came out on top again, which is no surprise there. Mitchell Hooper's just one of these humans. I've never before seen him in strongman before, something like this, something as equipped as Mitchell Hooper. You can compare him to Pudzianowski, to Big Z. I think Mitchell Hooper is a better strongman than both of them. I know he doesn't have as much titles as them. And that's literally only because he hasn't been in the sport long enough to get as many titles as those guys. Also, the thing you think about it, back in Big Z's and Pudzianowski's day, these strongmen were part-time strongmen. Everyone at World's Strongest Man were part-time, whereas these days, most of the strongmen at going to World's Strongest Man and being at the Strongest Man on Earth are full-time strongmen. These are proper athletes, and Mitchell Hooper is dominating every single competition. So that's why I think Mitchell is just something else. Plus the size of him, he's not that big. He's only 6'3". He's only 140 kilograms, 145 kilos, which is just over 300 pounds. And he's the strongest deadlifter. He's the best presser at the minute. He's just incredible. And when you see him walking down the street, you see his skinny arms. It's hard to believe that this is the best presser in the world. But hats off to Mitchell. 18 podium streak. It's something else. Just a different beast. Another thing I'd like to say is I'd love to have seen Brian Shaw in this competition. I know for a fact he would have upset that podium. I'm just not sure what way would he have won with the second. It's difficult to say because Thor obviously won 5 out of the 8 events, made a mess up in the overhead, just because his overhead is not there yet. I don't think he'll ever come back, to be honest. It's just one of these things that as you get older, it's one of the things that starts to go downhill first is your overhead. So I don't think that's going to come back to him. And he's in Strongman now a while, and his overhead has never been great. I think he's in Strongman now 12 months, and his just overhead hasn't come back. It could come back. I'm not saying that it won't, but it's just one of these things. As you get older, it's the first thing to go down. So getting back to like Brian Shaw, I'd love to see him competing in this. If you compare him to Mitchell Hooper, for instance, on the events, so deadlift, I think Hooper would have beat him on the deadlift. Hooper would have beat him on the overhead. Then we have throwing. Brian Shaw would have won that. Then we had stones. Brian Shaw would have won that. Squat was a bit of a fuck up of an event. Who knows who would have come out on top there? I know back in the day, Brian Shaw's squat was incredible. He was one of the strongest squatters there was. So who knows? Maybe he could squat higher than Hooper in that event. Frame to arm, I think Brian Shaw would have had that one. No, he wouldn't actually, would he? No. Hooper would have won frame to arm. I think that's a difficult one. That's probably one of the ones that who knows would have won that one. Dumbbell medley, Mitchell Hooper would have won that. Fingers to stairs, I think Brian Shaw would have won that. So it would have been really cool to have Brian Shaw in this competition. I know he's done. Just when you get to that age, getting up in the morning when you're prepping for these competitions is so difficult. Even for me, when I was prepping for the Royal Albert Hall and World's Strongest Man this year, recovery rate was so shit. It was just difficult, like especially when you're doing heavy overheads is what really got to me. Just the pains in my elbows, shoulders, knees and back after a heavy overhead was just hard to deal with. So I'm not sure if I'm coming back to Strongman. Who knows? Maybe come back later on this year, maybe next year. All I'm saying is I'm not in any rush back to Strongman. It's a full-time effort with very little to come back to you from it, if you know what I mean. It's not as if we're getting paid thousands to be a strongman. We're not. Unless you're podiuming like Mitchell Hooper, it's a brilliant way to make money. But like, how many people are like Hooper with his 18 podium streak? So thank you all for watching. It was a great competition. I really enjoyed it. Great events. And as I said, if it was 8 other events, if it was 10 events, that podium would have not have changed. So that's my opinion. Anyway, guys, thank you all for watching. I will see you again soon.